Hi, my name's David Kelly and I'm one of South Australia's Mental Health Commissioners. For the past year, I've been working on the issues affecting international students as they've been struggling to deal with the challenges of the COVID pandemic. Over the last 6 months, I've been meeting with a diverse range of students to hear directly from them about how COVID has impacted on their lives. Before we start today's podcast, I do want to acknowledge that we in Adelaide, South Australia, are meeting today on the lands of the Kaurna people. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and we acknowledge their ongoing connection to country. This was and always will be Kaurna country. There are more than 24,000 international students currently living in Adelaide, South Australia. And the last 12 months has been a really difficult time for them. In 2020, as the pandemic hit, work dried up, learning went online, and the sorts of normal interactions that are so important to somebody's mental health and well-being, particularly for a newcomer to our country, dried up. This was a really challenging time. And what we started to see were real issues in terms of mental health and well-being problems for students that were driven by isolation and financial insecurity. While the context in 2021 may not be as bleak as it was in 2020, the reality is that in every conversation that I've had with international students, a couple of themes have been really paramount. They've had to adjust their expectations to this new and potentially exciting life in a new country and a new city. Most importantly, they've all shared with me the bitter experience of discrimination that they have experienced in Adelaide. And that's to our shame as South Australians that is the case. We're going to be exploring all of these stories, all of these ideas, all of these experiences in the first of our podcasts today. So now I'd like to introduce the students who will be joining us for today. And firstly, Asuka.
Hi everybody, my name is Asuka. I'm from Japan and currently I'm studying Master of Information Technology and Enterprise Management. And this is my final year. I would say studying as international student is very rewarding. We can get a lot of experience. However, not all experience is great. We have to go through obstacles, tough situations. Sometimes we encounter unfairness. So I would like to share my experience and opinion and hope other students feel it's okay to share their experience, opinion, and express emotion. Then feel comfortable living in South Australia.
Great, thanks Asuka.
Thank you.
Akshay.
Hello everyone, my name is Akshay and I'm from India, currently pursuing Master of Engineering in Civil and Structure from the University of Adelaide. I have completed my bachelor's in 2013 back in my home country, and after that I am having more than 6 years of experience in 2 different industries, that is construction and financial sector. I am delighted to be a part of this podcast today and share with you all that what was my hopes and expectations before arriving to Australia, and throw some light about the discrimination I faced as international students and which may affect my mental health and leads to stress.
Thanks Akshay. Over to you, Kenny.
Thanks, David. Hello, my name is Kenny. I'm a Chinese-born Indonesian. I've been here in Australia for more than 2 years now. I just graduated from my social work degree, Masters of Social Work degree, and I'm happy to be here. I hope we can unravel some of the mysteries and maybe solve some issues regarding international students.
Yep.
Fantastic, thanks Kenny. And finally to you, Tae-young.
Hi everyone, my name is Tae-young and I'm from South Korea, and I am doing my Master of Social Work here in Flinders University, and I'm really happy to be here. And I will try to unpack my journey about 2 years, about how I felt as an international student. Yep, so happy. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Look, Tae-young, back to you. We've had lots of conversations over the last 6 months about that idea of hopes and expectations. So could you share with us I guess what your hopes and expectations were when you came to South Australia and how you have had to adjust those in light of the COVID pandemic.
So hopes and expectations. So as international student, I had multiple hopes and expectations, I have to say. But one of those hopes was that I want to study here in Adelaide, finishing my degree well, and then having my peace of mind while I'm studying here, so that I don't really get distracted, and I can aim my goal. And those kind of expectations and hopes were there. However, during the last 2 years, because of the pandemic, and then some of the occasions, I found that my inner peace was often distracted. To be specific, I have to say that sometimes the perspectives of the society here in Adelaide and the people looking at me and as international students that were a bit different from what I expected. Sometimes they want to see me as not as a fellow human beings, but more than like somebody who had come to Australia to take their jobs as competitors or something like that. And often I was encountered into some of the like racist actions, and yeah, I felt shame sometimes. So I could feel sometimes I need to just balance myself to be well, and I had to take care of myself well in those situations, and those happened quite frequently. So yeah, I want to share about that more if I have a chance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about for you, Akshay? You've talked about how you've come here with a particular goal in mind to further your skills and your knowledge and to build your career. So how have those expectations been realised from your perspective?
One of my biggest hope to build my proactive career in structural engineering by getting a job in Australian construction industry and indulging in designing of the mega structures. But after arriving to Australia, I realized that there is a scarcity of jobs and very less opportunities due to the sudden lockdowns.
Yeah, as same you guys, I hoping complete study and then get more knowledge about it and pursue my career. And then also same time I wanna meet new friends and get many like different cultures. Yeah, since so far study is good. However, because of COVID, sometimes I feel like I lost opportunity to meet people. Of course, I talk with my classmates. However, like my community is mainly from my course. I didn't have chance to meet other people from other courses or outside of university.
And what's your experience been then of engaging with the South Australian community and with the culture of South Australia? Has that been possible for you during this time or not?
I feel it's a little bit difficult because I'm not sure where I should start and I don't have much information. Like only things I found is event from Study Adelaide. Yeah, I would say.
Okay. Well, look, let's move on to another question that goes to the heart of discrimination, I think. I think Australia has always prided itself on this nation of being a country where everybody's given a fair go. Fair go for all is a statement that you'll probably hear quite often. But I guess the reality is that for many new arrivals, that's just not the experience that they have. So I'm interested to hear from all of you about, I guess building on your comments earlier, Tay, about, well, what does discrimination look like for you as an international student? Kenny, would you like to have a go at that question?
Well, being a minority myself from my own country, I can safely say that discrimination, it's not exclusively, an Australian trait. Racism, I think discrimination, they exist on everywhere. As an international student, as a student in general, like we need to get our qualifications for certain jobs. We need to be able, you need to pass our exams, we need to have our certificates, then we need to be able to do our job properly. But then there's a second, I would say, requirement, I would say, which is not spoken or written in any kind, which is we need to be able to blend in culturally, culturally in professional sense and also in the community.
What about visa status? I think both of you talked in the past about how what you've bumped into, which you maybe didn't necessarily expect, that was not all jobs, whether as a social worker or an engineer or an IT specialist, are not necessarily open to you. So how does the visa issue play out for you in terms of job opportunities?
I think a lot of international students came to Australia looking for that visa, even though they have, they come from various backgrounds. So that what they think, what their expectation would be that I came to Australia, I want to stay here, I want to get a living here in Australia because I think it's a good country. So what I try, so I'm trying to, I look at the government's list, which where can I fit in, and then they found, oh right, social work, oh right, engineering, oh right, doctor, and then they choose the skills which suits their aptitudes, and then they come in there hoping that after they finish their degree, I could get a stable job. I could get a visa. I could get make a living out of it. Turns out not that easy, mate.
Definitely, as you mentioned, the visa restriction is affect to my situation. I'm on the student visa, and there's only 20 hours allowed to work every week. And after I graduate, I can get post-graduation visa, but I think the company think like there is no guarantee we are staying long, so that's why we always get this advantage, even we have like same skill with other people.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
Yeah.
So it really looks like that discrimination can be quite subtle. It can be the sort of barriers that are put in your place in terms of the jobs that you're able to explore, or it can be quite explicit, where people in the street can insult you because you look differently. Which is terrible and shameful for our country. I guess I'm interested in hearing from you, how else does discrimination play out for you in your life in Adelaide? Is it something that you do bump into, like Asuka like Tay talked about, or is it not such a big issue? Akshay, what about for you?
In my opinion, the idea for fair go for all does not apply to the international student, especially in the employment sector. The most of the companies in Australia, they need permanent residency or Australian or New Zealand citizenship to offer the jobs. Furthermore, I want to add one more thing, like if I will talk about the tuition fees paid by the international students is approximately 5 times greater than the domestic students, and still we don't have equal opportunity as a domestic student.
Okay. So it feels unfair. It feels fundamentally unjust.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Kenny, I know that you've been thinking about that. Do you want to comment on what Akshay was talking about?
Oh, right. Can I show you my certificate here? This is my social work degree. I just got it last month. This baby cost $64,000. $64,000. That's so if you took this away from me, it'll be grand larceny.
So, look, I guess that takes us to the question of what are you looking for from South Australians who might want to be allies in your future and in your fights against discrimination as well? What would you want what sort of help would you be looking for from South Australians? Tay, your thoughts?
Oh, that's a really great question. For my personal idea, I would look for somebody who can be an ally for me, especially those who don't really say, hey, I had worse situations than you, rather than saying that, but would you be able to just accept us, that, oh yeah, you're having the suffering, it's okay to have this like pain. Somebody who can just look at us as fellow friends, and say that we are like competent enough, we are good enough people, like here in South Australia, that would be the best for us.
Okay, okay. Any other thoughts? Akshay?
I see most of the international students, including my batchmate, as my allies to fight against this discrimination. The biggest support from South Australia, I think that provide equal opportunity by giving us the each and every student's applications. So by doing these things, so we will also get the each and every opportunities, and there is not any restrictions of when we are applying, because everybody who are coming here and getting the top quality of education, they also need a well experience, international exposures. They also think about that, and if we don't get that international exposure, then theoretical knowledge, how it converts into practical knowledge.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, if South Australia is inviting you to come to live, learn and work here, then it needs to get rid of some of the barriers that make that difficult.
Definitely.
Okay, okay. Asaka, for you?
Yes, so we talk about discrimination by like government situation for international students, but also I would raise that there are some discrimination by people as well. So if I want any support from South Australia, maybe there is event or like connectivity between international and local, then I think it would be better, because I think discrimination can be eliminated by understanding each other more as a person.
Okay, so more effort from South Australians to reach out to visitors, to students who are here.
Yeah,
Okay.
it would be great.
Okay. And Kenny, from you, any final thoughts on that?
Oh, discriminations. Well, I've seen a fair bit of them. I can give you a couple of examples. The other day I was, I think it was 2 years ago, first time I came here. But my first semester, I was walking in Randall Street. I was crossing the street and someone slapped the back of my head. I don't know why. just say freaking Asian, then they just ran away. And I went to a bar, and then they showed you, go back to your country. And then during the first outbreak of COVID, I went inside a bus. There's a group of young men at the back of the bus just screaming, you get the F at the bus. Then I just had to show.
So what do you, in situations like that, how would you like local people to support you?
Well, to be honest, I think, some of them are just, cheeky, and some of them are just afraid or probably uninformed, I would say. When they're afraid of COVID, and then they try to pick every Asian when they see me in the bus, they just cover their nose with a jacket and
But
stuff.
that's hurtful, yeah?
I kind of used to it already, David.
Look, before we move to the end of our podcast, there's one last question I want to put to you all. You've talked about some of the challenges and difficulties you've been through. I'm interested in just an answer to this question. When times are tough, what's the comfort food that you seek out that always makes you feel better?
Oh.
What is it? Is it something from that your mum used to
Yep.
cook? Is it something, your favourite takeaway? So tell me about that. Asuka, what's the comfort food that you would always reach for?
Hard to choose. I would say like any Asian food for me, it makes feel like very comfortable.
Yeah. But is there something particular? Yeah?
Oh, maybe ramen.
Okay,
because it's
ramen,
from
yeah.
Japan. Yeah,
Okay.
it just
Yeah.
makes me feel nostalgic.
Okay, fantastic, great. What about for you, Akshay?
Mostly the foods from India, but basically I most likely pav bhaji. In my country we say pav bhaji. It's a vegetable curry, and and with buns we will eat with that. So when I'm having these types, so I will love to cooking that particular thing, and over the phone I will ask to my mom that what I have to put in while
the
making,
recipe?
what are the recipe every time, because she is very
Okay.
good on that. So
And so is yours as good as the one your mum cooks?
when she will came here, or I will go there, then I will then she will try, and then she will told me that who is better. I don't know.
Kenny, what about for you?
Probably McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Well, when you're hungry, every food is comfort food.
Okay, okay. Tay, what about for you?
I get my mom's food mailed through DHL. Yep, those are my comfort food. That I get a bunch, and I eat a little.
Okay.
Yep, and then at the end of maybe every month, I call my mom to send some more.
Okay.
It is just dried anchovies. Dried anchovies and stuff.
Okay, fantastic. Real home food, yeah?
Yeah, I think at one point that everybody miss their mom's food, I think, because nobody will compete with that.
Yeah, no, that's the truth. That's the truth. Okay, well, look, thanks very much. I'd really like to thank Tae-young, Kenny, Akshay and Asuka for participating in today's podcast. This is the first of a series of podcasts that we're producing with the support of Wellbeing SA. Today we're really focused on issues to do with how students have had to adapt to changing expectations that have been brought on by COVID, how they've had to deal with the barriers that sometimes face them that are emotional and financial, and also most importantly how they feel about the discrimination that they bump into every day. So I'd like to thank you for joining us today, and I hope that you'll join us for our future podcasts in this series. Thanks very much.